Hello pilots, and welcome to your next installment of a beginner's guide to the SU-25t FrogFoot. Now, we've already done key bindings, takeoffs and landings, we've done anti-rad CAD, we've done bomb deployment. Today we're going to tackle rockets, air-to-ground rockets, which is iconic to the FrogFoot. Everyone's seen those pictures of a FrogFoot flying around with a whole bunch of rocket pods on it. So we're going to show you which rockets to use, what they do, and how to deploy them in the field. And because that's not going to take a lot of time, we're also going to do a little bit of air-to-air. Because there are just some heaters that you can equip to the FrogFoot. They're not the best, but you can equip 2 decent R73 heaters, and we're going to do that today. So let's jump into the cockpit here. And just like bombs, this is not going to take a lot of keybinds, so let's just jump into the keybinds really quick. You'll still have your infrared jamming and your ECM. You should be able to turn those on and off. So those will be the same. We're going to go to our modes. And we're going to need a keybind for air-to-ground, just like bomb deployment. Then we're going to go to weapons. We're going to need a keybind for weapon changing so that we can cycle which pylons we have selected. And fire weapon, which again, in a Russian vehicle, it's the same button for dropping bombs as it is for shooting missiles, as it is for shooting guns. It just fires whatever you have selected. Alright, that's basically all you're going to need to drop your rocket ordnance on your enemy's head. So let's go to loadout really quick, and we're going to go through these. Now, just like every other time, we're going to equip the 410 ECM pods to the outer pylons, mainly because the only other thing you can put there is the R60 aphid heater missiles, which are, even for old heaters, not good. So I always recommend just use your 410 pods. They can actually help you and have a decent effect by running your ECM white noise machines, basically. So first, let's grab our 32 count. So these are 57 millimeter. 32 count heat frag rocket pods, and these are the iconic ones that you see pictures of. So just in the outer pylons, that's 64 high explosive rockets, fragmentation rockets. They're very useful, they're very good, they're easy to fire. We'll put those on the outers. Next, we're going to go with the S-25 fragmentation. So the S-25 is a very large single shot rocket. It's more like an air-to-ground missile, but they are unguided and they are rockets. So the fragments are 420 millimeter, so they're quite big. And they're basically anti-personnel, anti-vehicle, anti-open top. Your normal stuff that doesn't require a lot of armor penetration. Next, there's an S-25 that's a little bit smaller. It's only 340 millimeter, which is still quite large, you'll see. But they have a hardened target penetrator head on them. So these would be something you're going to throw at a bunker or a building or a boat or armor of some sort. Now, heavy like T90 armor, you're probably not going to penetrate with it, but you can. And these are made for penetrating. And last but not least, we have our APU-68. It's an S-24. So it's just a big 240 millimeter giant explosive rocket. And we'll equip 2 of those. And we're going to get up in the air, and we're going to shoot these into our targeting ring to show you how easy it is to fire them. And then we're going to do something cool after that. And also, just so you know, for air-to-air, you would just equip on the 10 and 2 pylon, you would equip the R73 Archer, which is a Fox 2 heater. And that's what we'll be firing at the plane to show you how to deploy your air-to-air weaponry when we're done with our rockets. So we're not going to do a separate loadout for that. We're just going to put the R60s on the outer and the R73s on the 10 and 2, and that's all we're going to have equipped for the air-to-air segment. It's only going to take a few minutes to show those being deployed. Alright, so I will see you in the air, and we're going to show you how to fire these rockets off. Alright pilots, here we are up in the sky. We're going to go immediately to air-to-ground mode, and you'll see our first rockets. Those are our 32 pods. There is our frags, there is our penetrators, and there's our S-24s. So let's choose our 32s. We've already got our target right in front of us. You can see we have a pipper. We have the range carrot coming down, and this is of course our maximum range and our minimum range. So when this carrot gets in between these two, you will get a launch authority, which will say LA down here. If you don't have the English cockpit, you should download that from Eagle Dynamics forums, which I have it linked in the description of some of my videos already. So the LA means launch authority, and when that LA comes up, it means that the caret is in between your ranges, and then when it says LA, that means your pipper is going to be relatively where your rockets are going to go to. It's not exact, but it's close enough. So we're going to keep our pipper on target. We're going to ease off the throttle, and we're just waiting for our caret to give us launch authority, and then we're going to just hold down the trigger and fire all 64 of our rockets.
Authorized.
Just like that. And you can see they're basically all landing right in the pickle barrel. So those are highly effective. Now,
Launch authorized.
it has already selected our next rockets, which it says S-25-0, so that's S-25 fragmentation. So we're going to come back around. We're going to put our pipper onto our target area again, except this time you don't hold down the trigger. You're just going to fire it once, and it's going to fire one pylon. Hit it again, it's going to fire the next pylon. And then it's going to automatically switch to the penetrator heads. We're going to go ahead and fire those off as well. And then we're going to fire off the S-24s after that. So in one run, we're going to fire all these off into the rings. They all fly about the same. It's the same procedure for all of them. You get the pipper on the target. You get your caret into your ranges. You fire at your pipper on your launch authority. So the first two, again, are going to be frag, then penetrator, and then S-24. So we're going to have to get on the throttle here because I've slowed down quite a bit while I'm talking. If we pull too hard right about now because we're going so slow, we'll probably get a stall warning. Right there. There's our stall warning. So now we're going to bring the nose back down. Going to ease off the throttle. You can see our caret's coming down pretty quick. We're going to have a launch authority really soon here. Get our pipper right about where we want it.
Launch authorized.
1 and 2. Next ones, there's the penetrator, and here's our S-24, S-24. And there you go. That is shooting rockets in a nutshell with your FrogFoot. Things you want to remember when you're diving into a target to fire these rockets, they're not very long range, so you have to be mindful about what you're diving towards. If there's large AAA guns, you probably don't want to try to dive right at them with your rockets, because those guns are going to outrange you. So let's switch aircraft now, and what we're going to do is, as a treat, because this lesson doesn't take very long, we're going to jump over into an iconic FrogFoot that is fully kitted out with 32 rocket pods. So we're going to have nothing but rockets, and there's an enemy base right over here, and we are going to just go nuts on a single pass with those rockets just for fun, so you can see the iconic rockets just getting lit off. And we'll see you in just a moment, pilots. Alright, here we are up in the air again. We're going to go to air to ground, and you see all of our pylons now are S5KO. Those are the 32 heat frags. The HE, I'm sorry, not heat, they're HE frags. And here we are. Let's get a screenshot for our thumbnails of all these rocket pods. Let's get a better angle here. There we go. We got our screenshot. Now, let's find our enemy base we've got here. Bring up our AWACS. Looks like we're going right for it. Looks like it's over here to the right just a little bit. We're going to ease off the throttle so we don't gain too much speed, and there they are. There's the enemy factory right there. So for this one, all we're going to do is keep cruising towards our target, and we are just going to hold down the trigger, and we're going to lay all of our rockets into this enemy base. And this would be what you'd want to do with a FrogFoot when you're trying to just take out as much infrastructure and enemy units in the area as you possibly can. This would be a single air-to-ground strike, where you have the element of surprise, you unload all your munitions, and then you RTB. You get out of Dodge as quickly as you can, you head for home to land and rearm. So here we go. Let's wait till we have launch authority. Our pipper is now stuck to the ground, because we're close enough. We're completely idle. There's a bunch of tents there I can see, so we're going to try to, here we go. We're just going to try to drag it around this whole area. And wasn't that a load of fun? We'll get to, at the end of the video, we'll have some better angles with some shots of that going off, but that is a blast every time. Alright, let's move on to air, and we can show you how to deploy those heaters at an enemy. Alright, now here we are. Let's look at our AWACS and see where our enemy plane is. It looks like an enemy AWACS up in front of us there. So we're going to keep cruising forward. So right now we're in travel, normal navigation. So we're going to hit our mode select from navigation to air instead of air to ground. This would be air to ground. This time we're going to go to air to air. So it says LNGT, and that's longitudinal launching. You see it has our 2 heaters selected. Those are the R60s, the ones I told you probably never to use. They're on the outer pylon there. They're little tiny ones. We're not going to really use those. They're not good. We're going to hit weapon select one time and go to our R73s. These are your standard decent Russian heaters. They are decently off-bore sight shooters as well, but we're not going to worry about that with our FrogFoot. The way you fire a heater in the FrogFoot is in longitudinal mode. You're basically in flood mode. I see the enemy plane right there. So you just want to get the plane that you're shooting for in front of you in the HUD. You're not going to have any tone. Now you have tone that you actually have a launch. You see you have launch authority, and it's giving you a tone. So you can just hold down the trigger and fire a missile. And there you go. 1 away, so that would be Fox 2.
Launch authorized. Launch authorized.
We're going to hold our second missile to see if our first one hits. We're pretty far away. That missile might not actually get there.
Authorized. Launch authorized. Launch authorized. Launch authorized.
And the reason why I'm holding this is because I'm not sure if that first one's going to get there, because it can give you a launch authority when the missile has a decent heat signature. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're close enough that the missile's going to have enough juice to get there, though. And there's a good chance that that's not going to get there because I fired it from pretty far away. So we're going to cruise in closer. It does not appear our first shot got there. We're going 740 kilometers an hour now, so I'm going to ease off the throttle. Because you can see we're getting ballistic there. We're starting to get the cavitating shakes really bad. So this is a pretty close shot now. So we're going to give it a little bit of lead, and here we go. Fox 2.
Authorized. Launch authorized.
And you can see it's trying to flare it, and there is a chance it'll flare that R73 off. And all we have left now is those R60s, which are really easy to flare off. And it would appear that it did flare off our R73, so we did not make contact. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back around a little bit, and we're going to see if we can get him with our aphids. There he is. We're going to stay in lag, which means we're just going to stay behind him, and we're not going to pull him into the HUD. That way we can get a little bit better repositioning. So here we are now. We're basically directly behind him, so now we're going to go ahead and pull in a little bit more. We're going to get back on the gas, speed back up. So now, even from here, the R60s aren't even giving us tone yet. Now they are. So let's pickle off one of these R60s.
Launch authorized.
And there's a good chance it's not going to get there either, because the R60s just aren't that good. But we are pretty close. We might get him. Oh, we did get him with the R60. Look at that. Let's get the other one on him now. Now we got a lot of fire to shoot at. Look at that. It didn't even track, did it? And that's the problem with those R60s. That's why I don't recommend using them too often. They're not very good. We got lucky that our R60 hit him, but that's all there is to firing heaters from a FrogFoot. Select air-to-air mode. Make sure you have your 73s selected for your best shots. Just get the opponent into your HUD and wait for your launch authority. And try to get close. Try to have as little aspect as you can. What I mean by aspect is, if you're turning really tight and the enemy is coming across flanking you, so you're turning into them as hard as you can and they're still coming across your HUD, that's going to be a high aspect shot. So it's going to be really hard for your missile to turn over there and get to them. So you want to try to get as much of a rear aspect shot straight at them as you possibly can, just to increase your chances. The likelihood that you're going to shoot a lot of air-to-air missiles in your FrogFoot is not very big because you're not very maneuverable. Most people that want to shoot you down are not going to have a big problem of getting behind you. But it is a tool you can have at your disposal. I usually have a couple of R73s equipped just in case, and I do use them from time to time. So that's all there is to it. Thanks for hanging out tonight, folks. I hope you learned a little bit about rockets and air-to-air missiles. I hope you're really enjoying your FrogFoot. I certainly have enjoyed it. I think everyone that wants to get into DCS should learn the FrogFoot. It's well worth learning how to fly it. It's very decent at everything it can do. You can bomb targets, you can strike targets, you can even run SEAD and take out enemy radars, all very important things. And everybody can learn to do it for free. So, again, thanks for hanging out. Hope you're learning, and I'll see you again on the next video, pilots.
Launch authorized.